I believe, Mr. Jakes, that you knew exactly what was going on, and you wanted to give your daughter something that she could never have.
I said, I need help. Okay? She took that, turned it around, and took my baby.
Cora behaves just like the tree she fell from. She knows how to manipulate. She knows how to coerce. She knows how to make people think things. And she also knows how to put it under the auspices of the church. Now, unlike your father, I'm hoping that you have an ear to listen to what we're about to say to you. Jason is not your child. As a parent, you have to keep track of your children's movements. It's just something that you have to do if you really do care about them. Not only that, by nature, you look out for their well-being and you make sure they don't make decisions that are going to be detrimental to them or other people that they may know. Now, that should be common knowledge. That should be something all parents should have up here and here. Unless you are the parent type like TD Jakes, then you don't know anything and you don't care anything about your offspring, unless of course it means handing your empire off to them and giving them all your money, or at least giving them the avenue to make as much money as you did on the backs of people who are broke and looking for hope. Then that might be the exception. You see, we've had a coverage coming on here about Michelle Loud, her son Jason, and her interaction with one named Cora. That would be TD Jakes' daughter. The problem with the whole scenario is this. We're going to break this apart, nuts and bolts, and kind of build it back together with some Lego type efficiency. Okay, so just bear with me while I flesh this out so you can see some things that we want to talk about. If you are of the Christian religion, let's just start with that. There are certain things that you trust God for. And then there are other things that you have to execute and do out of faith. That's what it should be. Not that TD Jakes has ever done that. That's just what he espouses to some people to get them to give stuff to him. He trusts God. He's taught his children to trust God. And he's always hearing from God. Unless, of course, he's not. If he hears something that he's not agreeing with, then it's probably not from God. And if it's something that goes completely against the moral cloth that God has, then it's probably not something that he will listen to anyway, because he's not really following God. This scenario with Michelle is going through some very interesting webs. Let's put it like that. There's some webs, entanglements, and it sounds like a Jada statement. If I call you a friend, and I decide that, hey, this person is someone I can confide in, and I'm going through some things. I'm suffering from inadequacy. I'm suffering from depression, some feelings of, I don't know how you would best phrase it. I'm not doing well mentally. And I reach out to you and I say, hey, look, you're the only person I feel connected to right now. I'm reaching out to you to tell you what's going on, and this is my state, blah, 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 blah. You're expecting a child. And you don't really feel like you're adequate enough to be a mother, even though you are already a mother. But this child is different. It just feels weird. You have an odd sensation going all through you. And then you finally decide to reach out to somebody who called you a friend. And then this happens. That friend decides that your child ought to be hers. That's what they decide. They just decided that. They didn't ask. It's just a decision they made. And then tells you, God said it should be that way. Now, remember I told you that your parents ought to be a certain type of way. That parent, not just yours, but parents in general, when you become one, you have a certain attachment to your children that keeps them in line. It's what you're actually instructed to do in the book these people say they follow. Meaning, rear your child up in the way he should go, so when he's older, he doesn't depart from it. It's not rear your child up in the way he should go, so that older times comes, he can just run away and do whatever they want to do. That's completely against the Bible. We never said that, and that's not how it works. But for TD Jakes, it does. You see, his claim is that he doesn't have any hand in this. He doesn't know what's going on. I had never played any part in this. However, we found out that that's 100% a fabricated statement by Mr. Jakes. Straight lie. Complete. Not only did he know that Korah was in the business of trying to take Michelle's child, but to create the environment that made Michelle feel so inadequate as a mother that she would have no choice but to trust and entrust her child to the person she thought was her friend. Now, if you know anything about manipulation, manipulation can come in many forms. Some of it comes violently and some of it comes very covertly. The other one comes covertly in the form of religion, and then there are some that come covertly in the form of cults. In this scenario, covert in the way of the church, all religion. And TD has become quite masterful at it. Not only is he able to do it himself, he has now taught his children how to do the same thing. Every story you hear about Jakes, it has come up that he has been doing this for a while. He knows how to manipulate you into believing that he has your best interest at heart. He knows how to make you do things that you would normally not do. And he knows how to prey on the vulnerable. Fast forward to his children, and look, and lo and behold, Korah behaves just like the tree she fell from. She knows how to manipulate. She knows how to coerce. She knows how to make people think things. And she also knows how to put it under the auspices of the church. She learned that one really well. Everything from having a church service for the person and having tongues spoken over them, don't even know what that was about, to, listen, if you really do care, you're going to do this. So you can't tell me now, if we talked about being a good parent, that you have no concept, especially if it's in the public light, that your child is trying to gain something that doesn't belong to her through manipulative means. You can't tell me you don't know. You can tell me you don't care. That I can see, but you can't tell me you don't know. Now, if you did know, it means you either approve of it or you don't care enough about the situation to have a stake in it. And I don't believe the latter. I believe, Mr. Jakes, that you knew exactly what was going on. And you wanted to give your daughter something that she could never have. You didn't really care who you hurt doing it. You don't care who you abused doing it. You don't even care who got the short end of the stick. You just want to make sure that your people got what your people wanted. But this has been your MO for a long time. Use the cloth to hide all kinds of crazy stuff. This is what you've been doing. With Michelle, she's been suffering, trying to get back her child into her care.
That's what I told Korah. I need help. Not, I need you to take my child. I said, I need help. Okay? She took that, turned it around, and took my baby. I can't tell y'all how many times my baby sit up here and ask me for their brother. Mama, when we gonna see Jason? Mama, when is Jason coming home? And I don't have an answer to give them.
And she was weaseled in a time of mental weakness into giving her child up by the very people who say they believe and trust God. I don't believe that TD Jakes, even for a moment, trusts God. I know he trusts money and himself, but not God. None of his actions prove that anyway. But I also want to talk to Korah. Now, unlike your father, I'm hoping that you have an ear to listen to what we're about to say to you. If you consider yourself Michelle's friend, in whatever capacity that might be, in what level of friendship do you see this being okay? It's not your child, first, foremost, not yours. Secondly, the child knows that. Thirdly, the mother is in a position to take care of said child now, and if you did care about both child's mental well-being and mother's mental well-being, you'd have kept up with both and realized that, hey, my goal here is to get the son back to his rightful parents, and if I was just a go-between, I can still have a relationship with Jason. You can still do that, but you haven't. So what is it that's holding you back from doing the right thing? That's our biggest question. If you do trust God, this is what people you in your family say you do, you trust God. How is it that you felt the need to have to go outside of the bounds of God to get God to do what you think God told you he was going to do? Either he does what he's supposed to do and he can do, or he can't. Either he can, not you, he can. But you don't want that. Michelle has been suffering a long time trying to get her son back. And no matter what people say, it's her son. It's not someone else's. It's hers. She went through labor. It is her child. By any metric, she has all rights to that child, especially if she was coerced out of what you would call stewardship of her child. I don't really understand how I guess I do understand how the judge and the lawyers got to this point. The influence of one T.D. Jakes. Understand the circles that Mr. Jakes runs in. P. Diddy and Jay-Z. Now, if you know anything about those two people, you should know firsthand that if they want something done, they're going to get it done. If they want someone removed, they're going to get them removed. And when you have someone like TD, who has a lot to lose, but has the avenues to make sure the people that can make him lose it go away, he's going to use it. He is going to use it. Because for him, pride is more important than being right and being upright in the sight of God. He has no problem being wrong because he can always say, as he would say, I just have to repent and move forward from my heart.
If everything was true, all I got to do is repent sincerely from my heart. There's enough power in the blood to cover all kinds of sins.
That's all he has to do. I don't need to change nothing. I just step on over it. The rest of you can log off. Just log off.
All of you who expect me to address a lie, you can log off.
This is exactly how he treated Michelle Loud. An afterthought. Remnant, trash, dregs. All in an effort to give the child who he never really raised a child. In the most nefarious possible way, theft. And now we're in the middle of a court hearing, a court case, a travail, if you will, that Michelle has to go through to get back her child from people who have no intentions of doing right by that child. They don't really care about Jason. They don't care whether Jason has to suffer traumatic events because he's separated from mother. No, as long as I get to claim that I'm mother, that's fine by me. And that, to me, is one of the most nefarious things you can do because the child did nothing wrong. I don't care if you have a beef against Michelle. What did Jason do to you? Nothing. And he has to be the one to suffer through all of this? You're willing to traumatize a young kid for your petty motives? How is that biblical, Mr. Jakes? How is that biblical, Cora? How? For all of the work you do in Potter's house and for all the outreach you do in your church, you can't see that the mother and this child should have been your priority, as the book says? But no. Selfishness wins again. And as we can see, and this is more than just a current situation, this has been going on a while. But what we can see now is this. The Jakes family, with I would say, the direction of TD, orchestrated this child abduction. All because TD Jakes has no heart, no conscience, none of that. He preaches a big game and follows none of it. And those apples he had did not fall far from the tree. Now, maybe, Cora, you have a sliver of conscience left. If you do, I'm hoping to appeal to that sliver of conscience. Jason is not your child. Never will be. And you do not, by every metric that matters, have the right to keep a child from his mother. That makes you a very horrible person if you decide to do it still. but you have some space for redemption. I'd advise that you take it, but at the end of the day, it's still your decision to make. But you know who the real person that you'll have to face and confess to and meet up with that will matter is God. And when you have to answer and give account for all the things you've done, trust and believe this will be number one on the list. Are you ready to give an answer for that? Are you going to say that your daddy made you do it? I hope you prep the answer well, because it will come up. And you better figure out the answer now before you expire. Because after that, there is no going back. So we're going to ask you to do it just this once. Do the right thing.